Hello there, fellow cultists. This is DM Nell, and I'm back with another Shadow Talk. This is episode number 133, and going back to the Tales of the Demon Lord and continuing my overview of that campaign setting, or not setting, that campaign path, adventure path, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. So before I get to that, I do want to talk about a few things. So let's just jump right into it, shall we? All right. So the first thing, going to the Schwab Entertainment website. It's always good to check the website out, see what's new or coming on the horizon. And as we can see on the homepage here, we've got a new product. Ship of the Dead. This is for the Viking verse, for the When the Wolf Comes game, and that uses the Shadow of the Demon Lord engine. And so this is let's just go ahead and click on it here and see what it says. This is another adventure, and it's part of the Thought and Memory Saga. It's the 7th chapter. So yeah, that continues that. And I'm guessing that's an adventure path. So, and I say I'm guessing because I haven't purchased it yet. I know. I keep saying when I purchase it, I just haven't gotten around to it. It's been a real busy time for this cultist. Unfortunately, I got a lot of real world things eating into my cult time. So I haven't been able to pick up the When the Wolf Calls game or any of its adventures. I fully intend to, I just haven't gotten around to it. But we have another game here, so maybe by the time I do get around to it, I'll have the full adventure path and I'll be able to absorb all of it. But again, there you go. That's a new product. And I think I already mentioned Imbroglio in my last video, and also the Bloodbath at Rodricker's Drift and Signs of Nature. So those are all that are featured in the Schwab Entertainment homepage on that website. But we don't want to stop there, because we all know that there are other products that are dropped in the Drive-Thru RPG in the community section. So let's just go there, shall we? Yes, let's do that. Okay, so going over to Drive-Thru RPG, we see all the Schwab Entertainment goodness, and also the hottest community titles for the Schwab Entertainment, games, which at this point is mostly When the Wolf Calls. Well, actually, haven't seen any community information or products or anything produced by the community for anything other than Shadow of the Demon Lord as of yet. I'm sure that will change, but at this point it's been almost, it has been, as far as I can tell, it's been completely Shadow of the Demon Lord content that's been put out here, which is, that's cool. I'm actually not even sure if the Disciples of the Demon Lord have included options for producing punk-apocalyptic or godless or When the Wolf Calls, When the Wolf Comes content. So I'm not sure that is even allowed, but we all know that you can produce Shadow of the Demon Lord content, and there's plenty of it out here. So just taking a look at what we have recently produced by the community, we have the Shadow of the Demon Lord Compendium. Now, this is for those of you who use the Foundry VTT or Virtual Tabletop, and that is including me. We now have the compendium for the Paths of Shadow. So, Paths of Shadow offer new options for characters, and this particular update includes the Bred for Battle supplement, the Natural Born Scoundrel supplement, Called to Serve, and In Pursuit of Power. So those are great supplements, and this is a great addition to the compendia for Foundry VTT, for Shadow of the Demon Lord. So if you haven't picked that up yet and you are a Foundry VTT person, then come out here and grab it. It's $14.99, which is great. If clearly you can go in and do all this work yourself in Foundry. That's what Foundry's famous for. You can build your own compendiums, but who the hell has time to do that? So the good folks over at Ferrer, I don't think those are folks. I think it's a folk. Was kind enough to do the work for us, and for a measly $14.99, you can update your your campaign with these options and give your players more things to play with. Okay, so that is one of the first things that I noticed out here in the community options. We also have this False Hope of Heaven. I'm not sure how new this is, but this is from Near Fractalia, Ronnie Anderson, and R.A. Press, or Raw Press. And this is a supplement that, let's just read it here. Heaven should be the perfect sanctuary for all pure souls, but is it truly paradise? A False Hope of Heaven introduces a more reverent and resounding theme to angels and castes without losing the essence of Shadow the Demon Lord. The supplement adds ancestries, traditions, paths, and other features to make your campaigns more interesting. You could play, looks like a Nephilim, Priest of Paradise, Bearer, Blackwing, what is that? Master Path for the Champions of the Fallen. Okay. Miraculous, Obvious, Grace, Miracle, and Oblivion. Of course, it requires a Shadow of the Demon Lord, and here's some additional information there. But what we essentially have here is just another supplement that provides more player options, and probably some DM information in here as well. So if you're interested in expanding your game, especially into the divine aspect of Shadow of the Demon Lord, then this would be something you might want to check into. Then we have, I noticed that we have Dark Omens out here. And again, I'm not sure how recent or how old this is, but I did notice it on the list here. So let's just take a look. So this is Dark Omens from Danielle Fedeli. And the people who live in the remotest and wildest parts of the Northern Reach lead hard and difficult lives. Forests, lakes, and mountains hide all kinds of dangers. Among the numerous monsters, bandits, and crazed cultists, however, beastmen are one of the worst threats. Dark Omens is an adventure in which a group of novice characters must rescue halfling captives from a herd of beastmen before they are sacrificed in an unholy rite. It is an adventure that allows the characters to understand the danger of the Demon Lord and his minions, and how is Shadow... some editing could be used here. So how the shadow is already creeping over Earth is what I think is that is supposed to be saying. This adventure can be included in an already started campaign or as a standalone adventure. It contains a new breed of beastmen, which, I love me some beastmen. So bring on the new breeds, because they're awesome. Are you ready to face the beasts of the Demon Lord? And I say yes. I might have to go pick that up here pretty soon. All right, so that was Dark Omens, a new adventure. And doesn't look like... Well, we've got this thing. I'm not really sure what this is. I'm not sure. I don't believe that's English. Batna... Yeah, I don't know. And I really don't even want to attempt that name either. Kaiser is his last name. Or Kizzer. So, definitely a foreign language product. Foreign language being if you speak something other than English, which would be, from my perspective, obviously, if you speak this language, it would not be a foreign language to you. And I really can't tell what language it is. So, those of you that can read this, you let us know in my comments whether this is an awesome product that needs to be translated. And maybe it already is translated in here somewhere. I'm not really sure. So just gazing at the initial offering here in the hottest community titles, those appear to be the only new ones that I have noticed. If we go on to the next page, I'm not really sure if I've mentioned all of these or not. Tome of Horror Madness looks different. I'm not sure if I reviewed that. It looks kind of familiar. I might have mentioned this before. But anyway, if you haven't had a chance to go out here and check out the community offerings, then I recommend that you head out to Drive Through RPG and check them out yourself. This stuff is, community driven. We always want to support that whenever possible. So yeah, check it out. It's also very affordable. All right, so that was the latest and greatest from new products for Shadow of the Demon Lord. All right, so enough beating around the bush. Let's jump to the main event here, and let's check out the Tales of the Demon Lord. All right, so I'm not sure what we got going here. So for whatever reason, my PDF reader my PDF thing is frozen. So let's see if I can open a new one. Okay, this is awkward. All right, so for whatever reason, that's not wanting to work. So I have a plan B. And my plan B is to pull it from my Google Drive, and we can go from there. Now, unfortunately, if going from the Google Drive, I can't use the hyperlink, so I'll just have to scroll through this. All right, so what are we doing? We are looking at the curious case. This is Chapter 4, the curious case of the Errant Swine. All right, so up to this point, we have gone through the introduction. We've read through the Chapter 1, City and Shadow, Chapter 2, Harvester of Sorrow, which was the starting tier, level 0 adventure. We have the Born to Die, which is the first novice tier adventure. And then we have, today, we're going to go over the second novice tier adventure, which is the Curious Case of the Errant Swine. So your character should be second level by the time they get to this adventure. And it is highly recommended that they are second level because this is a pretty challenging adventure. So let's scroll on down to that chapter. All right, let's just kind of make it a little bit bigger here so I can read it. All right, so Curious Case of the Errant Swine. All right, so this is where we begin with some of the adventures that you have to do some work on in order to connect it to the overarching campaign. So the overarching campaign, just as a reminder, is that the Brotherhood of Shadows is trying to use an artifact or a relic known as the Eye of the Demon Lord in a ritual to open a doorway into the void and call out to the Demon Lord to bring it into this reality. Basically, allowing the Demon Lord to enter this universe so it can do what it does. Now, of course, the Demon Lord just wants to destroy the universe and reabsorb it. But for whatever reason, this crazy cult believes that this is a good thing and that whatever comes of that destruction, they'll benefit from it. So, that's they're crazy. What can you say? They're cultists. So that's what they're trying to get accomplished here. That is that's the overarching theme of this campaign. This adventure has nothing to do with that. This is pretty much a standalone adventure. So not only could you just take this adventure. Well, not only can you use this adventure as part of this campaign, but you can also take it out of this campaign and just use it in. If you're doing your own thing, you're not using Tales of the Demon Lord, you could very easily just lift this adventure out of Tales of the Demon Lord and use it as a standalone adventure in your own campaign. because again, it is not dependent on anything else in this this campaign, this path, this adventure path, to run this adventure. It is completely a standalone thing. So because it's a standalone thing, you now have a couple of choices to make as a DM. Do you want to run this as a standalone adventure, or do you want to try to connect it to the overarching campaign? So you know, and there's no right or wrong way to do this. You know, it's your campaign. You do what you want to do with it. What I did with it was I wanted to at least connect it to what has happened so far in this adventure path, because I like my campaigns to have a logical progression, to make sense and to build on each other. So in order to do that, I needed to find some way to connect this adventure to things that the adventurers have already done, or people that they've already connected with, NPCs and you know, the such, and you know, try to get that connective tissue in there. So this is where you have to do a little bit of work. So first of all, you have to know all of your options here. So you need to read through the adventure completely before you decide anything. So reading through the adventure, you realize that you have a few things that you can work with here. First of all, what are the adventure hooks? Number one, you have Farmer Ham. Farmer Ham is, you know, the title of the adventure, The Curious Case of the Errant Swine, deals with Farmer Ham and the fact that he has been losing, he's a pig farmer, and he has been losing some of his prize pigs. And so he's offering a reward for anyone who can put a stop to the thefts. Now the reward is not great. You know, he's offering 1 gold crown. Now, just in the previous adventure, if you were like me and, you know, the player characters managed to stop the you know, the rude boys, and were able to rescue the noble's daughter, Candace, then the noble probably gave the players, or the characters, the ransom that the rude boys were asking for, which was 100 shillings, silver shillings. And so, you know, right there, they already have 10 gold crowns, because, you know, every 10 silver shillings is a gold crown. So they already have that. Plus, if they manage to scrape the money from the rude boys themselves, then they were able to get another 12 silver shillings, 26 copper pennies, and 31 bits. So just from the first adventure, they already have a good amount of money. They may have spent it in restocking themselves or whatnot, but still, that's a good amount of money. And what Farmer Ham is offering is 1 gold crown. 1 gold crown, you know, after getting 10 gold crowns in the previous adventure, 1 gold crown may not be enough of a hook to interest the players in pursuing this particular problem. So you have to either decide, you know, are you going to offer more than one? You're going to have Farmer Ham offer more than 1 gold crown, which really doesn't make sense, because he's a pig farmer, so it doesn't make sense that he's got a whole lot of money to spend on hiring, you know, a bunch of strangers to go hunt down some pig thieves. So, you know, more than likely, there's going to have to be something else to draw the players' attentions. So luckily, we have some more to work with Farmer Ham here. If you continue to read on, Farmer Ham has a dark secret, and his dark secret is that he is a grieving husband and father, because he lost his wife and his 2 sons about 20 years ago. And so he's still grieving to this day, and unfortunately, his grief has gotten the best of him. And he has chosen to kidnap halflings that remind him of his 2 sons. And so he has a bad habit of you know, stalking and kidnapping halflings and keeping them locked up in his barn and his house. And so he's got that going for him. And so, one other thing that could draw the characters here is the fact that he currently has a halfling by the name of Theodore locked up in the spare bedroom or in a spare room. So, the characters may be they may already be following clues to somebody may have hired them to find Theodore. So this is what I used in my campaign. So Theodore, a halfling named Theodore, was somebody that I had one of my NPCs in Crossings. Theodore was one of the employees of a dwarven alehouse, and this dwarven alehouse regularly purchased ham from Father Ham, or from the village hamlet that the Father Ham sells his pigs or his ham to. So I had Theodore be an employee, and he's gone missing. So the player characters regularly went to this dwarven alehouse, and they were friendly with the owner, and they knew Theodore, and they liked Theodore. He was a friendly halfling, and they were fond of him. But he is overdue. The tavern, and he's gone missing basically. So the tavern owner, or the alehouse owner, had hired the player characters to find Theodore. And so the last place that he had gone was to the village of Hamlet, which is outside of Crossings. And from there, they were hunting down clues for, what happened to Theodore. All right, so that was my way of connecting this particular adventure hook into the overarching campaign. So there's another way that you can do this, and I also use this a little bit more loosely, but there's also another adventure hook in here, and that adventure hook has to do with the adventurers that has recently gone missing that also went into this particular area to find some treasure. So there was an adventuring group, and I don't know if the group had a name, but there were four adventurers, led by a lady by the name of Delia. And so Delia and her companions were interested in finding what was rumored to be an elven shrine that is supposed to be in the vicinity of Hamlet. And so recently they went to Hamlet and the countryside around Hamlet into the Sentinel Forest, which hides the ruins of an ancient elven city. And so they went hunting down this jewel of power that was rumored to be within the shrine, and they also went missing. So that is another hook that you could use, whether that is something that they learn about when they get to Hamlet, or it could be that another NPC in Crossings had hired this group to pick up this jewel of power. Now, my recommendation would be using one of the NPCs that we talked about in the, I think it was second chapter, it might be in the introductory chapter, but let's go back to the NPCs here. Okay, so who could we use as a mentor, not a mentor, a benefactor, for this adventuring group that went looking for this jewel? So first of all, we could say that it was Elder Fob. So Elder Fob may have hired this adventuring group in order to get this jewel of power to help him in his fight against his rival, which is Catendramus. So if you'll recall, when I was going over these NPCs, Elder Fob is also a cultist for the Brotherhood of Shadow, but he has a competitor, and that competitor is Catendramus. Catendramus is the one that has the Eye of the Demon Lord, and he is the one that is trying to do this this ritual to bring the Demon Lord. Now, the Elder Fob is not. He doesn't know what Catendramus is up to, but he has a suspicion that it is no good for him and no good for Crossings. So he's trying to stop Catendramus. However, he has limited resources. So he's trying to bolster his resources, and one way is with this jewel of power that he has learned about, that is rumored to be in the shrine, outside of Hamlet. However, he is a public figure. He can't just go leaving his duty here in Crossings and go hunting around for a relic. Plus, it would be kind of suspicious for him to do that sort of thing. What does a council member need with a ancient elven relic, or a relic of power? So instead, he would have hired a third party to go find this jewel of power for him and retrieve it for him. So that would be one option, or one NPC that would hire such a group. Another NPC might be Catendramus himself, who might be also looking for additional items of power to help with the ritual that he is trying to cast, in order to bring the Demon Lord in here. So that would be another way to connect it to the overarching campaign theme. Ambrose Quick might be another person that would hire these adventurers. Ambrose Quick, of course, is the criminal overlord of Crossings, and so he's always looking for wealth and things that would secure his position in town. In fact, Elder Fob may have hired Ambrose Quick to hire a group of adventurers, putting yet another layer of anonymity between his public image and this kind of dubious, shady activity that he is trying to get. So that would be one. Another one might be Inquisitor Randolphus. So Inquisitor Randolphus may have heard of an evil relic that is rumored to be in this elven shrine, and he may have hired this group of adventurers to hunt it down and retrieve it and bring it back to him so that he can dispose of it properly. So, lots of different ways of connecting this adventure to the NPCs in Crossings, in order to keep that that connectivity and give reasons for your players to actually go to Hamlet and to participate in this adventure. So those are ways that you can do that. Now, of course, another thing that you could do, if you're doing the one adventure per session, or whatever, and you want to make it just very loosely associated with the overarching campaign, you could very easily just say your players are looking for work. They heard of some potential work in Hamlet, so we start this session with the players already in Hamlet, already have accepting Farmer Ham's offer to hunt down the pig farmers, but they also heard of this missing group of adventurers, and so they're keeping their eyes open for any clues there as well. It can be as simple as that, and you can just run with that. So, however way you go, again, it's your campaign, your adventure. You can do whatever you want to. I'm just trying to help you navigate this particular adventure, because there's lots of ways that you can approach it. And so another thing that I want to mention before we go into the adventure itself is that there's a lot of different ways this adventure could go. This is actually like maybe 2 or 3 adventures in one. So not only do you have, Farmer Ham wanting to hire somebody to stop the pig thieves, but that's the initial quest. But you also have the shrine, the Elven Shrine, which is essentially a dungeon. And whether the players actually go to the shrine or not is not it's not ensured just by doing Farmer Ham's quest. They can stop the pig farmers just by staying at Farmer Ham's, and eventually the pig farmers, the pig thieves, they can stop the pig thieves eventually just by staying at Farmer Ham's for a couple of nights, and the pig thieves show up there. They can stop them. That could be the end of that adventure right there. But if they follow the clues, then that could lead them to this dungeon, which is it's like a sub-adventure in this overarching adventure. Plus, you have yet another adventure in the form of the Beastmen. So there's a camp of Beastmen that has settled in the area, and the Beastmen are planning on attacking Hamlet. Now, this isn't something that is, actually part of the Farmer Ham quest. It's a totally separate thing, and you can ignore this completely. You can make this the main adventure and just ignore the whole curious case of the errant swine altogether, because the imminent threat posed by the Beastmen is far more dangerous and is far more impactful to the greater community than just stopping some pig thieves for one farmer. So that may be, if your player characters pick up on that, then they may decide to hunt down the Beastmen camp and, do away with the Beastmen themselves. Or they might want to do all of it. That's what happened when I ran this. So it became a 3-pronged adventure, which really caused some problems for me because, I was trying to do this as, basically the second level adventure, but this ended up taking me like 5 or 6 sessions to get through this entire thing. So I ended up splitting this into 2 separate adventures. And, when the first adventure was the resolving the Farmer Ham dilemma and going to the shrine. That was the first part of the adventure. That was the first adventure. And I had, they were already second level when they started this. I had them level up after that because that, like I said, that took just that in and of itself took 2 or 3, maybe even 4 sessions in order to complete that particular adventure, which was a complete adventure in and of itself. Then they took on the Beastmen as a second adventure. And that was their first expert tier adventure. So that causes a problem because I've already got an expert tier adventure in the wings in the next chapter. So I had to make some choices here in running this overarching campaign here. I can't just squeeze in a new adventure without taking out an adventure, right? Unless I kind of mash them together, which I totally could have done. But each of these adventures is already chock full of stuff for characters to do. So mashing them together isn't really a great option either, because you're either leaving stuff out or, it was too much work for me. So I decided that I'm just going to make 2 adventures out of this chapter, and then I'm just going to leave out one of the subsequent adventures. So we'll get to that later on when we start covering the subsequent adventures, and I'll let you know which ones I ended up leaving out. Okay, so I made 2 adventures out of this particular chapter. The Farmer Ham dilemma and then the Beastmen problem. All right, so for the Farmer Ham dilemma, the characters have to learn about the problem with Farmer Ham and his pig thieves. They have to, want to accept the issue, whether it's through charity, because again, this 1 gold crown isn't great, or through the hook that Theodore is missing, and the clues lead them to Farmer Ham. So when they get to Hamlet, in my campaign, I had, people in Hamlet. They remembered seeing Teddy there because again, Teddy was a halfling. He's outgoing. He's friendly. He made a lot of friends in Hamlet, and people in Hamlet knew that he was, in the market for ham. But Farmer Ham, who produces the ham and sells it in Hamlet, hasn't sold any ham recently because of his pig farmer or his pig thief problem. So Teddy decided to go directly out to Farmer Ham's and try to buy some from him directly. And the people in Hamlet knew this. So if you're using that adventure hook, then that would be one way to get the players to go to Farmer Ham's looking for Theodore. And so, of course, Farmer Ham would be like, I haven't seen Theodore, but hey, you can help me out with my pig thief problem, right? And then just following the clues that they find on Farmer Ham's property would lead them to, finding Theodore, who's tied up in a spare room in Farmer Ham's house. You could have Farmer Ham acting weird. You can have them accidentally stumble into the dead halfling that's in his barn. There's plenty of ways to find Farmer Ham's, creepy side gig. But eventually, they can deal with the hog thieves. And by dealing with the hog thieves, they find that, they are bloody bones. And the bloody bones would lead them to the elven shrine. So what you would want to do, there's 3 bloody bones. And they are actually they're stealing Farmer Ham's pigs because they're, number one, they're hungry, and then number 2, they have no skin, so they're using the pig's flesh to cover their skin or cover their bodies with, because that's the bloody bones thing. They were cursed to not have skin, and so they take the skin from other creatures to kind of cover themselves. They would. The player characters would stop the bloody bones, but you have to have the bloody bones, at least one of them, escape and lead the player characters to the shrine. Otherwise, they're not really going to know unless you have somebody in your group that can follow a trail. Then they can follow the bloody bones trail to the shrine. If they're so inclined to do so. Now, why would they do that? Once they kill the bloody bones, and that is that resolves the Farmer Ham situation. Assuming they find Theodore during that process, that would resolve the Theodore thing. So what incentive do they have to follow the bloody bones trail? They would need that additional hook to try to find that jewel of power. And so, that would be something that you could throw in there, which is what I did. So part of doing the Farmer Ham thing, they would have to stumble upon the missing adventurers plot hook, which they can pick up in Hamlet, or they could, on the way to Hamlet, they could run across one of the other areas, which is like the abandoned campsite, which they might find some clues to indicate that there's a beastman problem and that there are adventurers in the area that have gone missing. They could find the survivor, Delia, or they could, again, just get some information in Hamlet. Maybe a relative of the adventurers is in Hamlet and they want the PCs to find the missing, the missing adventurers, Delia or one of her other crew. So, you have to kind of use what the tools that you have in order to connect that. But you have to find some way to lure the PCs to the shrine. You could leave the shrine out altogether. Again, you could split this adventure up lots of different ways and still have a full adventure. The whole Farmer Ham thing is a full adventure in and of itself. The Shrine is a full adventure in and of itself, and the Beastmen situation is a full adventure in and of itself. So you could have 3 adventures all from this chapter. So whichever way you go is good for you. So you just need to find the hooks in order to get your players going in the direction you want them to go. Or you can just present all the hooks, let them choose which adventure they want to go on, and call it good at that point. So this in that way, this is kind of a mini sandbox. This chapter is a mini sandbox with 3 different adventures that they could potentially pursue. So, that's the brilliance, I think, of this adventure path, is that it is a sandbox, essentially. And it does have an overarching theme, but it doesn't require that you stick to that overarching theme unless you want to. Now, I wanted to, because I wanted it to be a coherent adventure path and have each adventure tie into each other. But you don't have to do that. You can mine this adventure path for the stuff that you want to use in your campaign, and there's just tons of stuff here to do that with. And also, as I mentioned in a previous adventure, this adventure path is like a tour of the Shadow of the Demon Lord campaign, or the Shadow of the Demon Lord game, because it offers you lots of the monsters that you're not going to find in other games. You're not going to find you're not going to find bloody bones in a D&D campaign. At least I've not seen a bloody bones represented in any of the formal D&D books. I haven't bought any lately, so they might be in some recent ones. But, bloody bones is, a Shadow of the Demon Lord thing. Beastmen, there are versions of Beastmen but Beastmen are a big thing in Shadow of the Demon Lord, and it's a big, Beastmen are a connection. That's part of the connecting tissue to the Demon Lord. The Demon Lord is what the Beastmen, the Demon Lord created the Beastmen, basically, if you want to go with that origin story. But the Beastmen revere the Demon Lord, so you got that connection there. You got demons in this adventure. You've got a let's see, what else do you have here? You got troglodytes, which, of course, troglodytes in Shadow of the Demon Lord are totally different than troglodytes in other games like D&D. Troglodytes in D&D are like just an underground lizard folk, basically. In Shadow of the Demon Lord, troglodytes are they're kind of like Morlocks, from the Time Machine. They are a group of people that were driven underground after the Witch King was defeated, and they were driven underground. They have adapted to living underground, and so they are, like I said, kind of like Morlocks. They're introduced in this adventure. You have lash crawlers. Lash crawlers are basically giant eyeballs that use their lashes as legs. Super creepy. And they're introduced in this adventure. Let's see, what else? There was an undead creature, a chainbound. There's a chainbound, which is basically a bunch of undead bodies that are bound together with chains in a rough assimilation of a humanoid form. And so, that's creepy also. So you've got the chainbound, and it's just lots of different Shadow of the Demon Lord unique creatures just in this one adventure. And that goes the same with all of the adventures in this adventure path. It's a great tour of Shadow of the Demon Lord. So if you are new to Shadow of the Demon Lord and you want to experience everything that the core rulebook has to offer, this is a place to do that in. This adventure path will do that. So again, this adventure path gets a lot of flack because the adventures aren't connected together very easily. That's why I'm doing this, to help you connect these adventures, to help you make it part of your overarching campaign if you need help to do that. Okay, so that is that's it. That's the Curious Case of the Errant Swine. 3 adventures in one. You can choose which way to go. Lots of clues, lots of NPCs and crossings to help you get to this adventure. Just lots of adventure hooks just in Hamlet itself in order to... I didn't even mention, so let's take a look at this real quick. There's a temple of the new god in Hamlet, and the vicar, whose name is Brian, he secretly worships an entity called the Red Light of the Woods. And that is how you connect. That's another way you can connect the player characters to the Beastmen issue, because the Beastmen, are at the Fetor Cave, and he thinks that this Red Light of the Woods, which is the Beastmen basically, is an entity, which actually it is. It would be the Demon Lord. So yeah, that would be another adventure hook that you could mine out of this adventure. Just tons of stuff, So yeah, I mean, just read through it all. There's lots of things that you can work with here. This is a great adventure, and you can have lots of fun with this. The Teddy, the Theodore, I called him Teddy. The Theodore, subplot. I had him tied up in Farmer Ham's attic, and I had him like all gimped up with a ball gag, and he was dressed in leather, like the scene from Pulp Fiction. I had that going, and it was just hilarious having that. But then I took it to a really dark place, because Theodore had been tortured, of course, by Farmer Ham, and the players released him, but he'd already lost it. He'd lost his marbles. So during the course of the night, the player characters by this time had already figured out that Farmer Ham was not quite right, so they had him all tied up, so he couldn't do any more. He couldn't cause any more trouble. But they spent the night in his house, and during the course of the night, Theodore went down and tortured Farmer Ham and killed him. And so my player characters woke up the following morning finding Theodore standing over the body of Farmer Ham, and Theodore's covered in blood. He's got Farmer Ham hogtied, because of course, why not? And just tortured with various cutting implements that Theodore had found in the kitchen. So that was just something I threw in, and it was pretty glorious. Okay, so that's pretty much it as far as the Curious Case of the Errant Swine. So let me know what you think. If you've run through this, how did you take this? Did your characters take the Farmer Ham hook, or did they do all of the things? Did you split it up into separate adventures like I did? How did you handle this? So let us know in the comments. So with that, let me go ahead and wrap up this video. Once again, I want to thank you for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. It helps out my channel, and I am over 500 subscribers now. So thank you all. That is awesome. I'm up to, last time I checked, 520. So now I'm marching towards 1,000, and 1,000 subscribers is where all the YouTube goodness becomes unlocked. So that's what I'm shooting for next. So help me out, talk to your friends, have them subscribe. I'm doing my part to get Shadow of the Demon Lord and all the other Schwab Entertainment stuff visible. And as soon as I get that PDF for Shadow of the Weird Wizard, I'm going to start covering that stuff as well, because my Tuesday night gaming group is interested in checking out Shadow of the Weird Wizard. I plan on running that as soon as I get a chance. I'm going to do the One Bad Apple, I think is the adventure that was provided with the quick start, and whatever that adventure is, I'm going to run that first, and using the characters that were provided in the quick start. But then I plan on eventually doing a Weird Wizard campaign. So I'll be providing all those updates, here. And if you're interested, or if you back the Kickstarter for Shadow the Weird Wizard, then stay tuned for updates there. And of course, as new products come out for Shadow the Weird Wizard, I will call them out as well. So stick with me. Bring some friends in, your players, if they're interested. Have them take a listen and subscribe, and help me get to that 1,000 mark, and help Schwab Entertainment grow beyond its meager beginnings to become a powerhouse. I personally would love to see Robert Schwab's work get a lot more attention and a lot more notoriety than what he's currently getting. It kind of pisses me off a little bit that a newcomer like Shadow Dark, which, don't get me wrong, I got Shadow Dark and I like it. I think it's a good game, and I think Kelsey Dion did a great job with Shadow Dark, but it got so much attention and it got so much money in its Kickstarter, and it came from nowhere. And it's good, but it's not Shadow the Demon Lord good. So it really kind of irritates me that it got so much attention, and yet you got such a better game with Shadow the Demon Lord that is languishing in the shadows, which might be appropriate given the name, but I would love to bring the game out of the shadows and give it a lot more attention than it's currently getting. So help me out here, guys and gals. This is a community effort that we gotta do. So anyway, that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Hail to the Demon Lord, and I'm out of here as soon as I can figure out how to turn this damn thing off. There we go.